Hello everyone, this is Dr. Achal and I welcome you again in our subject module titled as Services Marketing. In our previous discussion, we have dealt with the different strategies being crafted and produced by the marketers for the purpose of meeting out with their important characteristics, which were in the form of the intangibility, inconsistency, inventory and the characteristic of the perishability. So in today's discussion, we will be dealing and moving on with another topic that is all being related within our models. How the service firm or the organization, they have to ensure that they have to build up the different models, keeping into consonance their core offering, that is the primary aspect with which they are dealing with, in order to satiate and content out or provide contentment to the customers at large. Now this is all being related in a service model. So in today's lecture, we will be dealing with a service model, and this is the concept which says you the fact that here the services models are being defined as in a way for organizations to create, test and scale the design of the whole services. We know that acting as a proactive manager, working in the capacity of the proactive manager, the firm has to act very diligently. They have to forecast, they have to foresee the future in order to just comprehend and evaluate the different changes that are happening in this competitive scenario. So acting proactively or crafting out your strategies in a proactive way is one of the important need of the hour, and when this is being, the procedure plans are being drafted, when the things are being lined up in a very unique and a distinct way as compared to the competitors, you are outsmarting out the competitors for creating and innovating certain new kind of thing, certain new phenomena or the new deeds. You are trying to come up with the new things. That is definitely being reacted enough by the competitors. So if they are being copied, if your strategies are being copied, they are being replicated by the competitors, definitely that will act in the form of the replication, and that will lead eventually to understand the concept of the reactive strategies, the reactive pattern of the competitors. And at that particular point of time, you will not be talked of as in a proactive, you will not be talked of as in a proactive one. You definitely have to counteract the strategies that is being floated by or that is being reacted by the competitors at that particular point of time. So here we are seeing that the service model, it is a very important and a great way for each and every organization, especially for the service firm, to create and to test and to validate out the design of the whole services through which they are dealing with. The whole services means the primary aspect which is very much being concerned enough towards meeting out the expectations and aspirations of your target audience. And apart from the primary services, we know that they are the reactive, they are the proactive services, they are the proactive strategies, and after the proactive there are the reactive strategies. And we have also discussed out the fact that for the purpose of accentuating out these assimilations of the primary services, there are certain supplementals to talk of. And these supplementals are in the form of the documentary evidence, maybe in the form of the physical evidence, maybe in the form of certain kind of associations, or the certain recognitions can also be talked of in order to just accentuate out the consumption of these kind of intangible offerings. So here we are proposing out the fact that if a business model is how an organization operates, then a service model is how we shape and align design decisions to ensure consistency and quality as we build, plot and scale whole services. So we know that this particular statement says out of the fact that if a business model is relevant and it speaks of that how the organization is operating, we know that every organization or every establishment which is operating in this competitive scenario, they are maybe engaged with the proposition and the production of the physical commodities, and there are the instances in which the organization is trying to deliver you out the intangible offerings. So in both the situations, it is very imperative for the establishment, for the organization to draft and to come out within a proper structure, the proper model, which will give you a blueprint, and it will be providing you in a layout how they have to operate. What is in the procedural plan, how they have to draft out, how they have to just what are the pathways that they have to go in for achieving their corporate objectives, because we know that each and every establishment, each and every organization, they have to just fulfill out their corporate objectives which are being established within the parameters of the vision and the mission. So here we are iterating on the fact that the business model is how an organization is operating. It is very much being relevant enough for those establishments which are producing out the physical commodities. But whenever we are limiting our discussion towards the services aspect, we have to just ensure that these services model, they are being built up, they are being shaped up, they are being crafted up, and all these aspects are being done, all these activities are being done, keeping in alignment the design decisions, keeping into alignment the 7 P's that we are drafting in the form of the 4 conventional P's, that is the product, price, place and promotion, and apart from the 4 conventional P's, we are adding on 3 more P's in the services arena, and they have been in the form of the people, process and physical evidence. Now, these people and the process, that should be very much being conducive enough, that should be very much being lucrative enough in order to attract out the potential customers to be turned out as a present one. So, what we are reiterating here is that we as a service firm and an organization, we are trying to shape up, we are trying to align out our strategies, our procedural plans in consonance with the expectations and the aspirations of our target audience. And we know that in case of the services, it is very imperative, because here the services that is primarily being defined as an abstract one, that is more being pronounced in terms of the intangibility factor, that is more being associated with in the terms of the perishability factor, heterogeneity factors there. So, as a service provider, we have to come out within a consistency factor, we have to give them a proper, a proper consistency should be developed, a proper uniformity should be there in order to provide a same kind of experience to the customers or the consumers who have earlier visited out and who have consumed out their services in the earlier discourse. So, in our previous discourse also we have talked of that this problem of variability, the variability and how to deal out with this problem of variability and the perishability. What are the strategies which the marketers has to just look in for the purpose of dealing out the problem of the challenge of the variability. That was being talked of in the sense of either going in for the standardized routine procedural plans, either in terms of formulating out a personalized and the customized approach. Either we may go in for adoption of a strategy wherein a set procedural plans and the set clear defined roles and the positions are being laid out at the very first juncture. Very important, very important enough to ensure consistent and uniform delivery of the things which are very much being abstract in nature. So, we are seeing that it should be in alignment with the design decisions to ensure consistency and quality as we build, plot and scale the whole services. The whole services means here, that is the different levels of the offerings, which may be in the form of the primary level, which may be in the form of the core one. We are having other levels of the product or the offerings like the expected one. Apart from the expectations of the customers, we do have to just meet out with certain kind of augmentations and certain differentiations are being done and the variations are being talked of. And that can be done in the expected product, or that can be done in the level of the the augmented product, more than the expectations which the customers are holding on with the purchase decision. So, whenever you are making certain kind of differentiations and variations in each of the level of the product, you will be coming out with a uniqueness, you will be coming out with a certain kind of creative aspect in your primary disposition. So, that is to be done, but here we are seeing that the models should be in alignment with the customer's expectation, and the alignment is being talked of in order to provide the consistency and uniformity of the disposition of the offerings with which you are trying to deal upon. Further, we are adding that as we are building up, as we are plotting out the whole offering of the primary services, there can be certain differentiation and variation which will be very much being warranted enough in this competitive scenario in order to give them a uniqueness, in order to give them a new kind of appeal to the target audience. And somewhere or the other, we may even go in for giving certain add-ons that are not even being expected by the customers in the form of the potential benefits. So, the potential benefits can also be given wherein the other competitors, the people who are there, the rivals who are there operating in the economy, you as a proactive service provider, you have come up with a creative and an innovative kind of solution and a creative and innovative kind of offering, which is very much being unique in nature, a distinct offering that is not earlier being there before being provided by your competitors. So, this is how you can be just crafting and building up in a good model, service model, giving a unique or trying to act in a very unique selling proposition, trying to build up in a very unique selling proposition. Further, we are adding that this is also different from how I think about operating models or more detailed blueprints for how something is intended to operate. A service model is more about how to design the whole process, the whole services, but starting from smaller component parts of what will eventually be a part of a larger complex systems with interdependencies. We are adding that this service model is also different from how I think or from how we think about the operating models or the more detailed blueprints for how something is to be intended to operate. It means that here the model is not being understood in the sense of laying out a structure or a blueprint in order to achieve out your intended objectives. It is not so, but it is more than enough. That is, the model is being proposed, the services model are being crafted not only for the purpose of accomplishment of your objectives and the goal setting process, or they are just only being talked of as a blueprint or the mechanism to provide you in a layout towards the fulfillment and the accomplishment of the objectives with which you are moving on with. This is not the only case or the only objective of formulation of a service model, but here we are saying that the a service model is more about how to design the whole services. It is not only being related with the accomplishment of the corporate objectives with which you are being established with, but it is more about crafting up a primary bundle of the services that is more being aligned and in more being consonance with the expectations and the aspirations of your target audience. And further we are adding that, but starting from a smaller component parts of what will eventually be a part of the larger complex system with interdependencies. A service model is not basically being related with crafting the whole composition of the primary services, but here we are emphasizing on the fact that for every organization, we know that for every organization there exists certain kind of interdependencies, there exists certain kind of bifurcations amongst the whole the whole complex structure of the organization, which we are witnessing in the form of the departmentation. We are further witnessing the bifurcation in the form of the creation of the unit sections, and the different other kind of components can be seen. Depending upon the availability of your resources, depending upon the feasibility and the managerial capacity and the talent of your employees who are working in your establishment, there can be different kind of bifurcations. Even if we have witnessed the same fact that on the top level of the management, we are having primarily each and every organization, they are having 3 levels of management to talk of. We are having a top level management, we are having a middle one, and the operative one is there, who is being talked of to execute out all the plans that is being undertaken by the top level hierarchy of the people sitting at the top one, maybe in the form of the playing out the roles of CEOs or chief managing directors, or the people who are holding out the strategic positions in the form of the managing directors. And the middle level of the managers is acting as an intermediaries within the top and the lower and the executive ones. We are saying that depending upon the availability and the commitment of the resources which you are holding out in your organization, you may have a different kind of bifurcations and the divisions within your establishment. So here we are saying that the service model is not more, it is more than that about designing the whole process of the services, and it starts from the smaller component, building up a smaller component that will eventually lead towards building up a larger complex system of your establishment, with witnessing out the interdependencies amongst them. So these kind of interdependencies speaks of the fact that the different functional areas which an organization is being composed with, these functional areas, they are working interdependent, they are working cohesively, they are working cooperatively. So until and unless the cooperatism is there, we cannot be expecting the coordinative mechanisms amongst their functionality. So there's an urgent need to have a cooperatism feeling, and then the coordination mechanism will automatically happen. So this interrelation, this interdependent, this intertwining of the factors and the functionalities amongst the different departments, or the creation of the units and the sections in your establishment, it only speaks of the fact that here in the case of the service organization, it is the imperative duty for every marketer, for every service marketer, to just look into that aspect, that they don't have to just build up and craft out the different components and the ingredients being needed enough for the offering of your primary services, but they do have to take into consideration the different creation of the different units, sections and the departments in their establishment, working out cohesively and in a very team, I mean in a very unanimous way, in a very coordinated way. That has to be seen in the concept of the service model. Now more to elaborate upon, we are saying that this slide says out the fact that here a service model is a way of being intentional about delivering more joined up services or the user's journeys, joined up services and the user journeys. Service models are like sticks and glue. They are scaffolding for ideas to connect and develop, a way of holding things together within a set of agreed constraints. Most importantly, they shape what is being designed as a set of materials that we can work with. So, we are saying that a service model is in a way of being intentional about delivering more joined up services and users journey. There can be a situation in which the deliverance of the service is being talked of in the form of the joint effort. Earlier we have reiterated on the fact that there are the services which are falling in the category of having a direct interaction between the customer and the service provider. There are certain categories of the services which are falling and which are warranting to have a direct association with the customers in order to have an effective delivery process. Similarly, there can be instances in which the customers are sitting at a distant place, even then the effective delivery process is being happening for the purpose of effective transaction. So, we are seeing that the service model is a way of being intentional about delivering more joined up services, joined up in the form of the direct association between the service provider and the customer, and the user's journey. User journey means your customers, the end users who are in need of satiating out their needs and the wants. We are elaborating on the fact that the service models, they are like sticks and glue. They are scaffolding for ideas to connect and develop, a way of holding things together within a set of agreed constraints. We know that every organization, they have certain kind of limitations to talk of, they are having certain kind of pitfalls to talk of. Now, working out with these limitations, trying to come up with the challenges if your organization is having on in the form of the weaknesses within their own establishment, they have to just come out with these weaknesses. They have to just come out with a proper alternative solution to get rid of this problem, which is in the form of the weaknesses, terming as an internal constraints for them. So, there should be a way to connect and develop, there should be a way to hold out the things together despite the limitations and the constraints that they are facing in their establishment, in their organization, in the form of the weaknesses. So, that should be there in the functionality of each and every service provider to come out with a proper solution of removing out the weaknesses factor, which is prevailing or which is being talked of as an internal factor revolving in their establishment. They have to just identify and they have to just remove out these weaknesses to be termed as an opportunity, to be termed as a strength factor for them. Now, most importantly, they shape what is being designed as a set of materials they can work with. We as a service provider, we do not have to just look in for the ingredients which are very much being tangible in nature. But apart from the tangibility evidence, here in the cases of the services arena, we are more being associated with the intangibility factor, we are more being associated with the abstractness, the heterogeneity factor, the variability, the inconsistency. So, the materials that are helping us out to shape up the composition of the primary offerings with which we are trying to deal up and with which we are trying to satiate out the needs and the wants of the target audience, we have to just, more importantly, we have to work on that aspect. But yes, of course, they do have to be taken into account, but the abstractness, the intangibility clues, the intangibility factor should be more being taken due course. I mean, they should be more being emphasized upon, because here the service providers, they have to just, earlier also we have discussed that there should be certain kind of strategies wherein the intangibility factor is being this particular challenge is being overrid, they are being coped up with the help of some supplemental aids, and these supplemental aids are in the form of the facilitating goods. We are trying to take the help of the documentary evidence in the form of the letterheads, the advertorials are there, the brands and the logos are there to help us out, the documentary evidence in the form of suggestive measures, the suggestions, the feedbacks being given by the stakeholders, your appreciation, your recognition, your ambition, all these things are playing an important role towards enhancing out the assimilation of the abstract services which you are trying to deal up with. We have taken one of the example, that is the self-service, and self-service is all being talked of as providing tools to the customers such that they can serve themselves. For example, in an airline that allows you to change the dates of a flight with a web page or an app. This is a self-service tool or a technique to be developed by a service organization. Here we are seeing that in order to provide a greater flexibility and adaptability to the customers, we are trying to serve them in a best way. We are trying to give them within a adaptability factor and a flexibility factor to be used in their own discretionary. I mean, they can use out their own discretion to come out with that particular kind of adaptability factor and flexibility factor, which is more being suited enough to them with regard to the time factor, with regard to their accessibility factor. So, there can be a situation in which we have taken one of the example as the airline industry, they can be giving you, they can be coming out with a solution to give them more flexibility to change out the dates of your your commutation and your travel. Your travel dates can be changed depending upon your own convenience. You can be able to modify and change out or alter out the journey dates with the help of some kind of web page, duly being authorized with their own organization, and or with the help of certain kind of apps that are being provided to the customers to just modify out the visit journey dates. Now, this is also yet another technique, that is the order system. Earlier we have discussed the flexible technique in the form of the self-service mode. Here we are talking of with regard to the honor system, and the honor system is all being talked of as a system where the customer is trusted to serve themselves. The customers are asked to follow a set of rules, and there is no monitoring or control system in the place to confirm that they do. For example, an office food service where employees are trusted not to take certain food items home. Now, this is an honor system, which is all being said that it is in a system where the customers are being trusted to serve themselves, more or likely being related within a self-service mode. And here we are seeing that the system is all about it is all being associated with building up the trust and confidence on the customers to come up or to just assimilate out the consumption of the services by themselves. So, the customers are asked to follow a set of rules, and there is no monitoring or control system in place to confirm that they do. The customers are given out with their pure discretion, they have their own pure discretion to use out, to assimilate out the consumption of the services in their own convenient way, and there is no one out to monitor and to just guide out what are the set procedural rules and the regulations they have to abide in for the consumption of an effective delivery process. There is no such kind of system to monitor and to control out their activities, and they are being expected that they are confirming out within a uniqueness, within a very diligent kind of way. Their behavioral pattern is a very diligent kind of way. For example, we have taken an office food service where employees are being trusted not to take certain food items home. So, this is an expectation wherein we are expecting from both from the customers and from the consumers point of view, wherein the organization is trying to build up a trust and loyalty with your behavioral pattern, and you are not being supposed to monitor, you are not being supposed to have any kind of monitoring mechanism over your behavioral aspect. You are being expected that you are coming out within a due loyalty, your working pattern, your mechanism is being expected to follow certain kind of loyalty and trust that is being built with them. Now, this is a third approach, that is in a personal service, and here we are seeing that the service that is being provided by the professionals on a one-to-one basis. For example, a bank branch with tellers who can help you send a money transfer. That is a personal service, a personalization of the customization is being done. Here we are seeing that the services that is being provided by the people who are having a professionalized degree, they are an expertise in providing out certain specialized services. They are trying to personalize, they are trying to customize out your offerings in order to craft and provide an effective delivery process on a more personal basis. We have taken an example like if a bank branch is having a solution of a teller, and those tellers will be arrangement of the tellers will be an effective mechanism to provide a customization, to provide a personalization of helping you out to remit and to advance out the transfers or the sending of the fund transfer from one place to another place on a self-service basis, on a personalized basis. Now, this is a group service. Another technique to go in for managing out the service models, we are seeing that the service that is provided on a one-to-many basis, such as a tour group whereby a tour guide leads a dozen or more people throughout a city. Now, this is a group service model that is being talked of in a certain way of sectors wherein the service providers are trying to cater on to the needs of a large number of people who are forming as in a group, who are acting in the form of a group, or who are constituting a certain kind of association. Now, in that particular instance, the services that is being offered, like we have taken one of the example, if you are going in for a tour and that particular tour guide is trying to lead a number of people who are constituting to form in a group, and they are just trying to visit a certain destination, then this particular guide will be helping them out to how to manage, how to just go out with a to a safer place, how to just visit out to a good destination, to a good places, what are the important highlights of that particular destination with which they are being lined up with. So, this is a group service that is being talked of as one of the model of the service strategy. Now, the last one is the managed service, and here the managed service is all being talked of as managing the complex process for the customers on a proactive basis. A managed service can include the work of a trained professions or be completely automated. In many cases, both automation and labor are used. For example, a security company that completely manages security for a building using both automated monitoring and an incident response team. So, managing out the complex services, we know that the services, they are not only being pronounced, they are not only being understood in the form of the simpler way. There are certain kind of services which are very much being sophisticated in nature, which needs to have certain demonstrations with the help of certain specialized people, the professional people, the expertise of the professional and the trained people is being needed for the effective delivery process of the services. So, there is an imperative need to have an orientation of these trained personnels, the professionalized people, to help us out to manage out the delivery of the complex services. So, managing out the complex process for the customers, very important need in this competitive scenario to act on a proactive basis. And we are seeing that this management of the services which are complex in nature, which needs a more demonstration to talk of, needs to be supplemented, needs to be crafted with the support system of the trained people or the professionals who are having a more expertise in that area. Maybe with the help of an automated way, maybe with the help of a manual way. In most of the instances, we can have a hybrid mode to provide an effective process, like both can be used. The automated way can also be going for, we can just go in for the automated way, or even if through the automated mechanism, the deployment of the human and effective manpower is also being more pronounced in that course. We have taken an example like a security company that completely manages the security for a building using both automated monitoring and incident response teams. If you are living in a certain apartment which is very much being, a very complex one, the different people are coming, the different visitors are coming. So, you need to have a proper security check, a proper security system. Here we are seeing that there can be an example wherein the security guards, they are trying to monitor and evaluate, they are trying to just identify out the people who are coming to be talked of as a visitor for the first time, for the strangers, or people who are holding out of the, they are somewhat in a very, they are strangers. So, how to just deal with this particular factor? They may be using out a complex and a hybrid mode of identification and monitoring of these kind of visitors. Maybe through the automated monitoring mechanism can be done, or through monitoring and through recording out these incidences in the form of the incident response teams can be, they can be just deployed in your security team, and they will be recording out these incidences in the form of the report, that who are the people who are acting as strangers and who are being talked of as they are being talked of as suspicious for the those the people who are falling in the category of the suspicious one. So, with this I hope that we have understood the concept of the services model, and that was all about in today's discussion, that is how the services organization has to craft out their models, keeping into consideration these factors, that is they can be either going in for the self-service approach, they can be given for the group approach, they can be going for the managed approach, or any kind of system, or the honest system can be developed, with the personal service system can be developed, and they may go in for any kind of any kind of technique, or the adoption of any kind of mechanism can be done in order to provide an effective delivery process. So, with this I hope that you people have understood the concept of the service models. Till then, stay safe and stay blessed. We will be meeting in another discussion with a newer concept, and that will be a concept of the internal marketing, of external marketing, that will be dealing in the next discourse. So, thank you all for being with me. Thank you.